What is up, viewers? Rikquasar here, and welcome back to... Okay, now this is interesting. This is both a general game gabbing, a conversation about video games, but also kind of a Dungeons & Dragons and discussions videos, because there's two different aspects of the undead that we can get into in both the tabletop world as well as the video game world. But anyways... What is up, viewers? Welcome to a combination of my two different discussion series. As always, I'm Rikquasar, and joining me tonight is two lovely guest stars, Josh and Makayla. Josh is our resident zombie and undead fan, and Makayla, if you guys don't remember, was the winner of the most recent Nope November game show of Nopes, and we gotta remember the actual names of my series. But welcome, guys. Thank you for coming out here. How are we doing tonight?
Thank you for having us. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so you guys clicked on the video, you've seen the title, so you know you might have a little question about what we're getting into, and then hopefully we will clear it up for you. Tonight, we are talking about zombies, but specifically biological zombies and magical zombies. And you guys don't really understand what I'm talking about when we are talking about zombies. The undead, skeletons, maybe not vampires, but undead beings, corpses raised to life. We are talking about zombies. There are two different types. There are zombies that are raised via some type of viral infection or parasite or some type of biological component. And then there are zombies that are raised via a curse or some type of magical spell or something magically related. And between different video games and movies and TV shows and tabletop games as well, they usually have some variation of a zombie in that. And tonight we are going to be talking about we are going to be discussing which type of zombie is better or more powerful or whatever. So we really are just going to get right into it to start the conversation. But really quickly, I need to read the definition of zombie. I know I just read it for you guys a second ago, but I'm going to read it again for the viewers. The definition of zombie is a corpse being a body that is already past and dead, and there's a reason why I'm emphasizing on this. A corpse to be revived by witchcraft, especially in certain African and Caribbean religions. I'm gonna have to probably not base it off of that definition entirely, because already that is favoring magical zombies more, because the definition is leaning towards magical zombies more than biological zombies. But anyways, we are talking about zombies. The definition of zombies is a corpse, someone who has died and then is brought back to life. Fallout is really popular right now, ever since the new TV show has popped out. Fight me, ghouls are not zombies, okay? Do you guys understand what I'm saying, viewers? Ghouls are not zombies. To be a zombie, you have to have died and then come back to life. Ghouls are humans who are mutated by radiation. Cool? Do you guys agree with me, or do you think I need to go into more? Do we need to go into that discussion?
No, I'm with you there. As far as like the core concept of the idea that you've put down, where like if you are defining what we are talking about as a reanimated body, then yeah, no, I don't think ghouls are there. I don't know if Makayla has a ton of knowledge on the Fallout universe, but it's yeah. I think that it's mostly along the lines of, yes, if you're going to talk about, a reanimated corpse, I feel like as your definition, then yeah, I definitely think that ghouls are outside of that kind of concept.
Okay. The reason why I want to exclude ghouls is because how intelligent they are. If you guys are familiar with Fallout and have seen the TV show, play the games, you see that ghouls are, for the most part, have a little bit of themselves still intact. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Zombies usually don't have that type of mental capability. But all right, no ghoul talks. We're gonna exclude the ghouls. So how we're gonna do this tonight is we are going to use a D&D rule. Basically, we're going to go through the ability scores, the abilities of D&D, and use it as, okay, does biological zombies or magic zombies better in dexterity/speed, strength, constitution / durability, and intelligence. So which type of zombies are better in those 4 different abilities? And honestly, probably the best one that we have to start with is strength. You want to start with magical zombies first or biological zombies first when talking about the strength of zombies as a whole?
I will defer to my lovely second guest.
Let's. I'm not very familiar with D&D zombies, so maybe biological zombies would be a little bit more of my
Okay.
speed right now.
I'll pull up the monster stat block for the D&D zombies real quick then, because
Awesome.
that would be something to have in front of me. But go ahead.
So when we talk about, I guess, biological zombies, are we talking more about like TV show ones where we see like the Walking Dead kind of type, The Last of Us kind of type, stuff like
So
that?
when I think of biological zombies, yes, those are like what it comes to my mind. What immediately comes to my mind is like Resident Evil, because it's
Mm.
a virus that just happens to break out into Raccoon City and affect everyone to the point of that's one thing that we'll have to discuss a little bit is a zombie of a person becoming a zombie. If they're still alive, they can become a zombie. And in the back of my mind, okay, 2 seconds. Just give me 2 seconds. I will be right back. I just
No
remembered
worries.
something. I just remembered something that would help a lot when talking about this.
Okay.
Hold on, 2 seconds. I'll be right back. I should have grabbed this, but I didn't think of it.
So he's wait. Do you think he knows what 24 weeks later is?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'll ask him if, because I think that would technically be a ghoul, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good point, actually.
What is it?
Have you ever seen like 24 weeks later, 24 days later, like those horror movies?
I haven't.
Oh,
I
so
heard
good.
I heard they were really good. But what was
So yeah, so the question was, so technically it's a zombie movie, but they end up just getting infected, so I don't think anyone technically dies. It just kind of a virus is passed. Um,
Yeah.
and then they become like a mutant zombie kind of thing. So I think my question was, would that be more of a ghoul or a zombie kind of thing?
And that is why I grabbed this lovely book. I don't know
Perfect.
if it's flipped for your guys' care. It looks flipped on my thing. I'm gonna have to like double flip it so you guys can read it. This is the Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. This is probably one of my favorite books to read through. It has a bunch of different types of survival scenarios that you can go through to talk about what type of weapons you should bring when dealing with zombies, etc., etc. But one of the things that it does talk about, Solanum, the virus. It has its own zombie virus that it describes. But if I remember correctly, when it's talking about, yes, here we go. When it is talking about the process that someone is infected, it has like a little timetable here. Hour 5, you have a fever, chills, slight dementia, vomiting, acute pain in joints. It has different time to, like at hour 11, you have paralysis in lower body, overall numbness, whatever. When you hit hour 20 of being infected, hour 20, wow. This is a slow zombie virus. We're not going to talk about that. When it talks about how it describes this is that at hour 20, your heart stops and there's zero brain activity. So, with this virus specifically, you die. And then at hour 23, you reanimate. So, according to at least this zombie virus, when you are infected, you die first. You go through all these different types of, telltale signs that you are infected, and then you die and then are reanimated. So I don't know what it is about what you say. Is it 23, 24 days later? Is that what you...
Yeah. So 24 days / hours. Like the concept in that is that like it's more of like a mind altering thing. Like it's like a rage kind of virus idea. Like they can be killed basically the same as anyone else. Like they can be shot in the heart or the brain and it'll put them down. As far as I can remember, they're obviously more resilient because they'll take shots to anywhere non-vital and just keep going. But like they're just they can be killed like a person. It's just that they're feral and like don't feel pain anymore. Is I think kind of the concept of it. But yeah, no. I think if you're going with like decomposing, like an actual dead body that is being animated by, if we're going, I guess with if your baseline is whatever the virus is in your book there, or like if we're going with like what's the word I'm looking for, like the spores or whatever in The Last of Us. Yeah, the idea is that like you die first and then it like puppets you almost. Although I say that out loud now, I don't know if the spores in The Last of Us kill you. I think that I don't think they're like spores and mushrooms like controlling the body. I think it changes the brain and like controls a person. I don't know if they're dead.
And this is where we go to the terrifyingly real, I'm gonna have to Google it real quick, the terrifyingly real fungi that controls ants. So there is a fungi that infects an ant. I'm not sure if I don't really know what the proper way to Google this.
Cordyceps. Cordyceps.
Is that what it's called?
I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm assuming a specific, like it gets more granular than that, but the broad strokes is, I believe it's a cordyceps.
Okay. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, I cannot pronounce things. Ophiocordyceps. Unilateralis. I'll put the actual thing. Or the zombie fungus is a fungus that can take over the bodies of ants and control their minds. That is actually interesting, because before I thought it just controlled their bodies. No, you're right. So they are still alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, like if you're gonna think about like the science of it, and I mean, like you're obviously gonna always be fringing science when it comes to any zombie media, but I don't think there's a mushroom alive active enough to animate muscles. It'd be like a biological change, right? So that person would eventually die as just anyone else.
That's actually a great point. They definitely, so at that point, because they're not dead, it's just control.
I think if a ghoul's not a zombie, I don't like in the definition that we're going with. I don't think that a Last of Us zombie is a zombie, or a 24 days later is a zombie.
All right.
I mean, in the confines of what we're going for, I think less granularly. I know I've said that word already, but I think more broadly, rather, I suppose. They're definitely within that kind of concept. I think it probably branches out from there. But if we're going purely a corpse being brought back by necrotic magic, or a corpse being brought back by virus or whatever, then I think that we can kind of omit those, which is actually, I think, a help. So that way we don't have to discuss the trillions of zombies. We can go with the specific kinds.
So let's narrow it down this way. Resident Evil zombies are the best way to go about it, because it is a zombie, either a person or a corpse being infected by this virus and is raised And then for like magical zombies, magical zombie is like if a wizard, warlock, sorcerer casted raise dead, and it is raised. I'm looking at the monster stat block, it doesn't actually say a whole lot, which is okay for now. But anyways, bring it back. Magical zombies. Zombie that has a spell cast on it or cursed. Biological zombies, a person, most likely a corpse being infected by some type of virus. And like you two talking about, there is a whole lot of different examples all over the place through movies, TV shows, video games, D&D lore, tabletop lore, whatever that we can get into. But keeping it bare basics of what I just listed as magical and biological zombies, let's talk about which one is stronger in the essence of zombies walking up to you, it latches on to you, it's trying to either hold you, to like bite you, to hit you, to like to strike you, whatever. Which one do you think would potentially be stronger?
Yeah, I have a really interesting take on that, but so I'm gonna let, I guess, if you guys have your own thoughts, go first.
Makayla, then I'll open up to you.
I personally think that biological zombies would be a little bit more stronger, because you have essentially something controlling your brain that can push the limits that I think we, as our normal brain, wouldn't be able to. I don't know a lot about reanimation, with wizards and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like though if they just reanimate the corpse can only go as far as the body would allow it. But if the mind's being controlled, then it kind of pushes the limits. That's kind of what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
that's actually very fair.
Mhm.
That is kind of bleeding into like the constitution side of things, but that's fine because even
Mhm.
then it would be like if the body is broken, it's not going to be able
Mhm.
to grab someone, do a whole lot of damage.
Mhm.
So with biological zombies, majority of the time when it comes to actually killing a zombie, 90% of the time, in order to kill a zombie that is biologically raised, decapitation or destroying the head. And I
Mhm.
do mean destroying the head, because sometimes even decapitation isn't enough. There's another book that I read. I don't know how. This happens when I'm unsupervised. I was at my uncle's house. We were visiting my uncle's house, and they had a book on their coffee table. I think it was literally called like Zombie Taxes. If I can find it, I'll put a picture. But so literally, it was a book talking about how to like handle like taxes and comparing taxes to zombies. I don't know how they made that connection, but the really fun thing about this book is in between the different lessons about taxes, there was an actual story about a guy in the zombie apocalypse. And as the, I want to say 13-year-old self that I was at the time, I skipped the taxes part and just flipped to the story part. The story, the guy was talking about how fire is such a bad idea to use against a zombie. You light a zombie on fire, the zombie has one goal and one goal only: to find flesh or brains to eat. Depending on what zombie it is. 9 times out of 10, it wants to eat your face. So your zombie's crawling towards you, you blow off its arm, that zombie is still coming after you. You blow off a leg, it's going to find a way to shuffle its way towards you. You set that zombie on fire, that sucker is still coming towards you, but also it's a human torch now too. So the only real feasible way to deal with a zombie is to make sure that you destroy its head, because with biological zombies, destroying its head control the brain, or it's still the central nervous system, so it's controlling the rest of the body. As far as I can tell, flipping through the monster stat block in D&D and a magical zombie, it doesn't necessarily say that there's a weak spot. That it does say that it has a health pool. And another and the other variation of magical zombies that I'm using is from my favorite book series called the Xanth. Oh man, is it just the Xanth books? It's called the Xanth books, where zombies are raised by a zombie lord, and those suckers actually, those ones specifically are. Oh, this actually helps because it helps the case of the magical zombies, because those suckers, doesn't matter if you decapitate them, no matter what, they're always coming after you. So
well, see, I think you've gotten like off topic.
I did.
I'm like into Constitution.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that's, I think, more Constitution on the side of things is the survivability. I would put that. I would think.
Then let's shift gears, because I think that is a lot easier to talk about. Is how durable a zombie is between biological and magical. And when you're talking about how strong a zombie is, you have to figure out like how much it can actually take in regard as damage wise. What do you think then, Josh? Between like how sturdy biological or magical zombies are?
How like durable? Sorry,
durable. Yes. Sorry.
No. Definitely like way more durable, like 100%. Like a biological zombie is going to be like, even if its only weak spot is the head, like even if you chop off the head and the head can keep munching, like there's like an actual spot for it. I feel like when you talk about like magical zombies, in really any setting, D&D or beyond, they're not like, the body isn't actually really doing anything. It's almost like a puppet, right? There's this kind of invisible necrotic energy that's kind of like moving the stuff for it. So you destroy the head, and again, if we're going purely based off of like an RPG system, and we're going to draw from like 5th edition, which is, I'm assuming, the stat block you've pulled up, but
yes,
there's not really like the DM can kind of play around with however it works, right? It can go one way or the other, but at the end of the day, it kind of damaging it enough to like sever its connection to whatever is going on, whatever is controlling it, tends to be the only way to do it, which is why radiant damage, or holy or divine, if you're going again outside of D&D, tends to be like more necessary than anything, because it's, again, you're looking to either destroy it so fully that it cannot move, that even if it was puppeted it doesn't matter, or you're trying to destroy whatever magic connection it has that's puppeting it. And I definitely think that that's always going to be way more difficult in general than just hitting a head or chopping it off, bashing it, Walking Dead classic screwdriver, whatever the case may be. I feel like the mere fact that a biological zombie, again, in the sense that what we're saying is has a weak point at all, is just makes it less constitutional. Like they're both durable, but like just the fact that one has a definitive put down button and the other one doesn't, I think is just out to either way.
All right. Makayla, anything to add in regards to the constitution or the durability of magical and biological zombies?
No, I think I definitely agree with Josh's explanation. Yeah, because biological zombies could be easily put down, whereas, like he was saying, you essentially need that magic caster to get damage or lose his focus or anything like that to be able to waver in how the zombies kind of function. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely like that's almost like the core conceit of a lot of zombie media, biological stuff specifically, is that like after the initial shock of what's happening is gone, you get like human settlements or just survivors who are like beyond a year zombies are really pushovers. Like one zombie, two zombies. Like the whole point is that zombies aren't really a threat anymore. Massive, huge swarms of them where like you just can't fight them off are issues, but like you can basically laugh at a zombie in season 4 Beyond of the Laughing Dead because it's really nothing, right? It's you when you know how to deal with it, it is no longer really a threat.
Mm. Okay. That's great actually. So you mentioned how we needed that we're basing the magical zombies based off of the stat block in D&D. In the back of my mind when you said that, I'm like, well, wait a minute. And the 10-second research that I just did, the first movie that made zombies popular, correct me if I'm wrong, is Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead, from what I remember listening to my favorite YouTuber, James A. Janice, and flipping through right here, the Night of the Living Dead was the zombies, if you could even call them that, were voodoo based. They were magical zombies. And that's how zombies got their start. They were magical based zombies. And I'm just flipping through here real quick to make sure that I am certain, but I believe that I am correct. And from what I can tell, I am correct. Perfect. But when it comes to magical zombies or science zombies, whenever science zombies, it's a science. They want to explain how it works.
Well, they want to have you believe that if you dug deep enough, they could explain how it works.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so they're like, oh, well, X virus is a fungi that roots itself in your brain and does what? And yes, I know we're supposed to be excluding that, but that's the explanation that immediately came to my head when the magic zombie is abracadabra, raise the dead to life, and then it's just like you said, a puppet. As long as this sucker is under the spell, or in D&D's case, takes a certain enough of damage, that sucker is still in control. And there is no real science or explanation of how it works.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into this, but it had to be it was going to be brought up at some point. We're not even going to talk about the science behind skeletons. What the crap are skeletons in the undead world? There's no way
I think
to
it depends
explain.
on well, yeah, I think it depends. Like, I don't think there is a biological way you could have a skeleton, right? Like, that's where the magic, like, focuses. And, like, I think that's kind of, like, where it definitely, like, peaks off there, too, is between, like, are you animating organic material, or, sorry, are you puppeting organic material, or are you animating a body? Because, I mean, if you're going science, if you're going either with again, you're going a ghoul, you're going a whatever, you know. If we were going to include those or not, like when you're going down that way, it's all like the whole point is that their bodies are functioning the way that a body would, just without a heartbeat, sort of idea. As soon as you get degradation, and that's a lot of, again, zombie media comes back to that, kind of pulls you out of pulls it out of that zombies tend to degrade.
Magical zombies, from what you two have said, seem to be the more hardy, durable zombies. So with that in mind, then which is the stronger in the two? Which two types of zombies would deal more damage?
Yeah,
I personally think biological would do the most damage.
Yeah, see, well, that's where I'm kind of like in your talk, like specifically like physical wounds, like not the most societally damaged.
When I am talking about zombies, yeah, there's magical and biological zombies, but then there's like the types of zombies. when you're playing a video game, you have different types of zombies. You have I don't know how I'm gonna do
Yeah,
this.
they definitely like they gamify the
Yeah,
concept of a zombie for sure. Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
Even in like Walking Dead, the general
they're getting there
consensus.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. The general consensus of zombies is that a zombie is a shambling husk, excuse me, that can musk. Where did that come from? A shambling husk that can really move slow. This sucker is slow. But in my mind, when they catch you, you're basically screwed because they're not like you said, Makayla, they're just basic they're just they don't they're not paying attention to the limits of their body. They're either puppeted via a virus or a spell. So whatever zombie strength is a thing because it literally is a zombie curse exceeds the limitations of whatever the corpse was at some point. So in my mind, if a zombie manages to latch on to you, it's an iron grip and not letting go of you at that point.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, see, and I think that's where things change because I don't think there's a specific answer to it because I think that magical zombies are probably the most consistently strong. But I
Mhm.
because biological zombies, exactly as we've already discussed, the strongest it will ever be is like immediately after reanimation. Again, I think the kind of core concept of the zombies, I don't think there is going to be a definitive answer about which is stronger or not, because I think that like a magical zombie is pretty consistently powerful or like strong because again it's just magic moving material,
mm-hmm.
right? Whereas I think that a biological zombie, the strongest it's ever going to be is immediately post reanimation. As soon as it starts to degrade, like it's literally just a person being controlled by again a virus or whatever. They might be dead or whatever, especially if that's the version we're going with again. But if that's the case, like the moment muscle starts to like degrade, it's like not there anymore. I think that like probably, and I think lots of zombie media cover this, but like a year after like initial like reanimation, like most of them aren't very strong at all. They're kind of just sloughing around and stuff. And I think that's especially what like is like the slow shambling zombie is like, especially like immediately or sorry, not immediately after reanimation, like the muscles are just like turning into goo, like they just cannot be strong
Mm-hmm.
after a certain amount of time. It takes whatever amount of time to like degrade the zombie, and obviously it will depend on your type or whatever, but yeah. So I think that Makayla is definitely right. I think that a biological zombie at its peak is probably much more powerful, but it does not stay there, and I don't imagine it stays there for very
Mm-hmm.
long.
Okay. Go ahead, Makayla.
I was gonna say, I think I would disagree just slightly because, and I don't know a lot about reanimation and D&D and stuff like that. But you did make really good points about how they could, because they have someone else controlling them who has the mental ability to, you know, make them stronger if they wanted to, make them bigger. I think that, especially with virus and biological zombies, they can also adapt and evolve. So, like in Resident Evil, I believe that there's different types of zombies because they evolve. Like, I forget who it was, but it was, I think, in the second or third movie where it's that zombie with that big, machine gun, and he was like hunting people. And then especially with what is it called? It's that game that you like to play, the zombie game.
Dying Light.
Yes, because I believe that there is some of them that have evolved to be fast and strength, and I think that especially with evolution, there's always going to be not all of them, but there's going to be a couple of them that will keep evolving because the virus wants to keep living. So it
Mm-hmm.
has to figure out different ways to do that. So
Yeah.
I think personally, I think biological would still be a good runner for that.
So I will agree with you. It's funny that you brought up Dying Light because Dying Light both backs up Josh's statement as well as your statement. So
Mhm.
the zombies that are oh wait.
Oh no.
I think it does back up yours a little bit more because the
Okay.
virus wants to defend its host. So the way that does that is to mutate and and to like basically have the and basically enhance the host to like adapt to the surroundings or whatever. Um there are two different fast zombies, and I forgot about the second one, which is the mutated one, that the like the like the dangerous guys that you don't want to run into during the night, but during the day there's also runners. Runners, though, are freshly infected zombies
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
still have the integrity before they start to rot, and that's why they're fast, supporting what Josh was saying, as that is
Mhm.
that zombies, when there are the biological zombies are mostly strong immediately after they're infected. And but the other second type of fast zombies in Dying Light is the zombies that have mutated. Um, Josh, help me. What are the names of the night ones? The scary dudes.
Like the big ones with like the unhinged jaws and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. What were those guys called?
You know what? I'm blanking now too. It's like I haven't played in a little while. I think it's like Nightcrawler or something
Yeah.
like that.
Another some more support to a biological zombie, just like I don't know, we kind of like drift away. It's like strength versus just threat and damage, and a mutated zombie is going to have that type of damage. And one of probably my favorite zombie game, sorry Josh, is Days Gone. Fantastic open world zombie game. Little bit pissed at it because they decided to be funny. All of the zombie variants all end in You have breakers, runners, ragers, shriekers, and I'm like, I hate you. I hate you guys for doing this. But all the variants are zombies that have mutated, the virus evolving them. Unfortunately, we have to push that away because the mutations are all things that happen over time. When a
Mhm.
zombie is first infected, it doesn't have that unless you're like the Resident Evil 6 has like that like it's they like did a perfected version of the virus, that when like the hook of that game was that the Umbrella was selling the mutated version of the virus to like mercenary groups and terrorists and whatnot. And when they injected the mutated virus into themselves, they would immediately mutate into like the more intense version of the zombies. But like, yeah, gotta push it off to the side. But push off to the side, we gotta focus more on the a zombie immediately raised either by a virus or by a spell.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
in that essence, from what Josh has said, wouldn't that be the biological zombie? Because, well, oh no, it wouldn't. Because,
I think if you're going peak strength, I think like if you're going like which is stronger at any point in its life cycle, or its
yeah,
non-life cycle,
it's
yeah,
non-life
its
cycle.
unlife cycle,
That's
then
good.
yeah, I think biologicals take it because like I don't think you're ever gonna get stronger than a human that just doesn't know that
Mm-hmm.
it's breaking bones and ripping tendons. You know, I don't think that's gonna be a thing. But again, I think that like if you have like a magic zombie, you can bring it back at any point. It could be literally just a skeleton. I know they're
Yeah.
technically different creatures, but it could be literally just a skeleton, and it's still just animating a corpse, as opposed to like where it actually, again, it needs muscle to function. And that's actually kind of where I was going. I think we'd have to push the Dying Light stuff aside anyway, for the mutations and stuff, and maybe even the Resident Evil stuff, because I think that if you're going with those, I think we've put ourselves in a very specific scenario where we can't use those, because those are also, I don't think, like, dead. Like, I don't think that they've
No.
died.
No. I will defend. Okay, you know what? Actually, yeah, I get what you're saying. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. We cannot count, because 6 is mercenary groups infecting themselves with a mutated virus, so they basically become super soldiers. 5 are people controlled by a mutated bug larva thing. Same with number 4. Resident Evil 2 and 3 are pure form zombies. Whether it is a corpse being infected by the virus or a person being infected by that virus, those are the pure form zombies. Because the virus broke out via rats from... Resident Evil 2 and 3 happened at the same time. Yes. So, and the virus was spread by rats. The rats would infect people, and then whether a person died or not, they still get infected. And there's a scene in the game, actually kind of horrifying, where you're trying to save a person, a cop, and he gets basically ripped apart and he dies. He's basically just the torso up, and he dies. And then later on, when you come back to him, he's a zombie. So I think Resident Evil 2 and 3, those are counts. The other ones, not so much.
Yeah, well, I think it's the difference. I think they might even have like lore aspects, but there's like, they have like a million different things. I think the T virus or whatever is like, I think that's like your kind of more like classic thing. It's, to me, anytime you have a situation where you have any kind of mutation, obviously games are like gamifying it and stuff, so like you kind of have to have these to keep things fresh, and like otherwise you're just doing the same thing the whole time. But for that to happen, you have to be alive, at least in some capacity. Like, I don't think you can mutate a corpse.
That is a big side tangent, because I don't know.
I think that we're spending too much time debating the fringes of what you've defined. I think if we're going literally classic animation, Walking Dead, like T virus, Resident Evil and stuff, I think that if you're going peak strength, I think that biological will take it at its peak, but it just turns out that magic just tends to be more long-term viable, I suppose.
Gotcha. So then let's jump into the next ability, which is dexterity/speed. And I'm curious about this because we kind of touched on it a little bit with magical zombies literally being puppets, not really needing flesh or muscle or anything to control it, because it's literally propelled by a magical spell or curse. And biological zombies, it still needs some type of meat to continue. But let's talk about dexterity and speed. I'm kind of hung up on more dexterity wise, going back to that tax book, zombie taxes. I'm gonna have to find it now because I'm curious. But going back to the zombie taxes, well, when the guy was trying to like build his base, he would build a trench because it's funny that he said this. Because he said, and everyone knows zombies can't pull. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? The meaning being zombies can't pull up over like a wall or something, or pull themselves. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how much I agree with this, because if zombies don't have legs, they can really kind of pull themselves. Actually, it's pretty funny. Later on in the book, the guy almost dies because he walks out of the house he's trying to go find himself some medical supplies, and he almost trips over a zombie that's crawling, and he goes, oh damn, I guess zombies can pull. And I'm like, duh! But anyways, yes! Dexterity / speed. What are we thinking when it comes to magical and biological zombies?
Yeah, so I think, again, if you're going with like a science zombie, I don't think you could include any runners.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least not like in a wide concept, because again, I think that like it may be directly fresh, but like I would say that they degrade very quickly. I think if you're going a science zombie as a reanimated corpse,
Yes.
they would be shambling. I think you get like your kind of classic Walking Dead, Night of the Living Dead, which again is technically magic, but
Everyone, stop typing the comments. We are not including World War Z. I will not include World War Z, whatever Flash type zombies those suckers are. We're not going to talk about them. No.
again, I don't think that they're reanimated. I think that that's like a rage virus thing. I think that's what a lot of zombie media has evolved into.
Mm-hmm.
So would the zombies from like Train to Busan be
Oh,
classic zombies, or would that be, because they were pretty fast, I believe.
Hold on. Double checking. I know a little. There we go. I know a little bit about Train to Busan. Oh, that's so funny that I immediately pulled that up. I know a little bit about Train to Busan, but not a whole lot. So let's see what someone said about the zombies in Train to Busan. Unnamed, unknown virus, presumably deadly artificial mutagen, developed presumably unintentionally. Okay, blah 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 blah. Characteristics.
I think a lot of recent media, I think, has moved away from reanimation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like if you're talking about a more recent zombie, not all, but I think that a majority of recent zombie media has leaned away from reanimation of like the dead to be like a rage virus.
I'm not sure how. I don't like that, because literally I've read the definition of zombie. A zombie is a reanimated corpse. At that point, isn't it just a person, like
maybe that's the reason that
something?
Yeah, well, maybe that's the reason that no media actually ever says the word zombie. They always have a different word for it.
You know what? Yeah. Oh.
Because I don't think that's actually the reason. But
No.
That lines up quite funny.
That's just a theory.
Yeah. So in Days Gone, they never do say zombies. I think they call them freaks or freakers or something.
Like, and I was gonna say this too. I Am Legend also has very fast zombies, and they're called the Dark Seekers.
Yeah.
So they're never called zombies. They're called specifically those ones too. Or
yeah. Well, and again though, that's actually that's a running joke, specific like in all zombie media, but specifically The Walking Dead, how like every settlement calls them something different, but no one calls them zombies. And I know, like, lore-wise, The Walking Dead exists in a world where zombie wasn't a concept before they happened, and that's why they don't do it. But yeah, but it is funny that, like, it's like they're walkers, stinkers, whatever. Like there's like a million different names. Everyone has one. I think Daryl goes to like France in their most recent show, and like they even call them something else, but like never zombie, you know, and it's obviously a joke in and of itself there.
So going back to the original question, I want to believe
Yeah.
that magical zombies are more dexterous because uh the necromancer or whatever raising them is giving them a command, and they are puppets. So no matter what, they're going to try to carry out that command despite whatever condition their body is in. So go zombie, go climb that wall and get through that window. It's going to do it. Will it do it fast? Probably not. But if you have a biological zombie go scale a wall or a magical zombie scale a wall, my money's on the magical zombie because it's following an order, and because compelled by the magical spell, it's always going to follow that order. It might take itself a while, but its body won't give out, while a biological zombie body might.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I I think that the thought process is sound for sure. I think that it definitely like lines up like with what you're saying there. Now, I think though that that's fairly hypothetical though, because I don't think I've seen a single magical zombie that is dexterous.
Mm.
I think that they are all these shambling, like again, almost like puppets. Like they move twitchy and groany and stuff. Like I don't think I've ever seen a representation of a magical zombie, like a magic one, that is like fast. Now that's not entirely true. I guess if I'm thinking of um White Walkers from Game of Thrones, but like even in that case there, like the normal ones are pretty slow and steady, and it's like the kind of masters above them that kind of like retain more of their stuff. But I think that I don't think I've ever seen like a magical zombie be represented as a runner, Nasher, whatever the hell you'd call him.
Your Honor, I would like to refer to Elden Ring. I feel like everything in Elden Ring is undead, and there's probably a better explanation if I like actually pay attention to the lore. But if you like look at the faces of of almost all of the enemies, the soldiers and everything, they look like zombies. And I know that's probably like it's oh, they're tarnished and you know, they're just like a soul that's been like rotting, so it's not actually an undead. Okay, whatever, fine. But what I can talk about are these skeletons and the corpses that you run into in the graveyards. And these suckers, the flips, the flips and dashes that these suckers do to screw you up are insane. Especially the skeletons. I've had so many skeletons basically leap at like a 6-foot vertical to get on top of me and kill me. But and those are magical zombies, not the skeletons. There's the other. I don't know what they're actually called. I don't know what the actual names are. But those guys, for the most part, move pretty quickly. But that's really only one game, and I haven't played any of the other Dark Souls games because I didn't have the patience for it. Maybe one day. But those zombies, for the most part, are pretty quick-ish. But I don't know how much you want to like include that when we're in this discussion.
Well, no, I mean if they're magical zombies, they fit in this discussion. Yeah, that's a fair one.
Yeah. Okay. So what are we thinking then? For the more dexterous or faster zombie, biological or magical?
I don't think either beats out either by very much.
We can have a tie.
I think
yeah.
That, yeah. Well, I would say I think inherently zombies are not dexterous. So
I'm definitely still leaning towards biological, but I can definitely see how like a normal zombie that's not mutated is probably still the same, just very like jagged and stumbling over himself kind of thing.
Yeah.
If we do talk about mutated, I would probably say biological, but I guess I would depend on how mutated it would be and to the degree.
And mutations happen after
Yeah.
X amount of days,
Yeah.
months, years, whatever. Alrighty.
Yeah.
We can give it a tie. because we have one topic left, and that is intelligence. I've been dreading this, and this is why I wanted to leave ghouls out of the discussion, because ghouls are intelligent. They still have, like, ghouls basically in the Fallout games, ghouls for the most part can still communicate and talk. I mean, regardless if they have the little vials, the vial of drugs, but even then, up to the point of them going feral, they are still, and even after they go feral, they still can say words or communicate or whatever. So when I'm talking about intelligence, I know that in so many different things, Days Gone, survival manuals, whatever, they talk about instinct, that zombies sometimes develop animal-like instinct. Are instincts intelligence, do you think, in this case?
I definitely think so, because we needed, like, even for us as we evolved and when we were animals, we had to have that instinct to be able to live. So that is an intelligent aspect of us and of the brain. So I definitely would strongly believe that zombies that have these instincts, especially biological ones that have this virus, you still have that instinct to survive. You still have that instinct to hunt and, do all this kind of stuff. So I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that personally, I don't think there's a contest. Um, uh, because I think that biologically, if we're going like again down the science route, I think that there is an inherent nature that this virus controls is like the brain thinking that it has to do something. Uh, Magical zombies are literally unintelligent. Like I don't think that they have an intelligence. I think that they're literally an animated puppet. So, like, if you want to extend it to whoever controls them, obviously, I think then maybe magical because obviously, like, they're an actual living person with
Mm.
complex thought processes. But I think that if we're going like off of like an individual zombie, I think that a zombie that is actively thinking about how it's going to do things as opposed to be just a bunch of bones and meat that are like just moving because magic is telling them to. I don't think there's a contest.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
There are a lot of different movies. I think one of the I don't remember the movie name, but it's the actor who played Beast in the most recent X-Men movie. He played the Nicholas Holt. He played a zombie who could still think. Um,
From warm
and
bodies.
huh?
From warm bodies.
He could think, and anytime he ate a brain, anytime a zombie in that universe ate a brain, it would absorb the memories of the person's brain that they ate. And
Mhm.
there's another movie that they talked about where zombies are propelled. The reason about zombies ate brains, at least in that movie, was that there was a chemical within the brain, don't ask me to recite it, cannot remember, where basically zombies are constantly in pain, but that the zombie eating a brain helps reduce that pain, so that's why they seek out to eat the brains. So it's so like, depending if you want to talk about those specific movies, those are like very specific movies. Like, those two ones are the only ones I can name off the top of my head where zombies are still sentient. But going back to the Xanth series, the zombies in those books are still sentient, though they cannot talk. One of the main characters actually was a zombie, and what had his zombieism wasn't cured, but what he basically looked like a regular human because they figured out if someone cares for a zombie and shows them affection, it basically reverses the appearance of the zombie and basically makes him look like a regular human. And it basically repairs all of the different things. But basically, because the zombie was cared for, it reversed the rot and the degradation and everything, so it just looked like a regular human and could talk like a regular human. It gave us kind of like it at some point in the book. It was in the perspective of the zombie, and it talked about how the zombie had thoughts, just couldn't convey them because it was so far gone, rotted. So very specific novels and movies where zombies are still sentient. So, but just different things to add into the discussion when it comes to intelligence. But I do need to clarify, Josh. Are you saying that magical zombies are more intelligent because they're commanded by an intelligent being, or are less because they're commanded by something? They don't.
Yeah, like less, because like they're not thinking. It's just like they're a tool. They're not a thing.
Yeah,
or they're not a being.
So you're thinking biological zombies have more intelligence because they have instinct pushing them to do what they do. They're not really commanded.
Well, yeah. Like if there's anything making a decision within that zombie, it's automatically more intelligent than a zombie that it has no faculty.
Okay. Makayla, let me get your last 2 cents in here.
Yeah, I guess just going over it again, like, because we have that like instinct, even like the virus that's, attached itself and, changed reanimated the person, that also still has an instinct of survival, of how can I keep like living, how can I keep evolving. And so I think that's why I believe that biological zombies are a bit more better than reanimated, like wizard, D&D kind of zombies, because they have, like, we've seen it in science with just a bunch of, birds and all this stuff. They have to be able to evolve and survive so that they can keep going. And like, just with us, we always want to keep evolving and keep, you know, understanding our environment, because if we find danger, then we have to be more on alert. So I think yeah, biological zombies definitely beat them in this regard for
Okay.
intelligence.
Alrighty then. So, we covered all of the topics that I was talking about, so that brings us to the end of the episode. So, magical zombies versus biological zombies. Which one do we think come ahead in this discussion?
Like as far as what, I suppose? Like which one's the better one? Are you putting them in a one-on-one fight, I guess? What's going on?
I think so. That's a great question. I think if we put them in a one-on-one fight, like depending on it's like depending on where the biological zombie is in a state of mutation, or and as well as like what type of reanimated corpse it is. I think more in general, let's go in the essence of if you are going to walk out into the world, walking out of the Fallout vault into a world that is at the end of apocalypse, which zombie you definitely would find there afterwards, or which zombie would survive longer in that case, I guess. But even that,
If you're going with whatever I'd rather face, it's definitely magic zombies.
Wait, you rather face a magic zombie?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
A biological one could definitely like off us real quick.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and there's
fair.
also like just like the top off of like we haven't even touched on like I don't know, like again if you're going specifically
Survivability.
D&D, magic zombies just reanimate animated corpse or whatever, you fight it, and as long as you don't die, you're alive. Whereas with a classic biological zombie, if you even get scratched, sometimes you're effed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
And
Well, like,
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, in the caster, how many are they doing? Are they doing 2 or 3? Because with a virus one, like a biological one, it usually multiplies and multiplies and multiplies and just keeps going until there's no more resources. So I I guess it would have to be, what are the limits to the caster's ability? Can they do 5 at a time? Can they do 1 at a time? And how skilled are they? I think definitely a biological one would be scarier to
Mm-hmm.
face.
Yeah, and it all depends on the level of the caster or like
Mhm.
the power of the curse. That's actually something that we didn't really talk about, is the spreading the infection of the zombie. As far as I'm aware, magical zombies don't really have a way to spread that curse or whatever. They're just a raised corpse, so they don't have a way
yeah,
to make more of them
yeah. Well,
unless.
it's been a very long time since I've seen like the OG Night of the Living Dead. But obviously those are magical. I can't remember. I don't think they spread. I think it's like literally like just from a graveyard these things
Mm-hmm.
pop up. I don't think once you're bitten you turn. I think it's just like they kill you or they don't. But I also it's been years since I've
Yeah,
seen that. So
I haven't even seen it. Period. So, you
Me
don't
neither.
want over on me. But yeah, no, that's actually that. Yeah, it's just voodoo based zombies, as the description it was. So and yeah, so biological zombies are the most dangerous. Then that's a great way to put it. The most dangerous
yeah, oh yeah,
zombies. Gosh darn it.
biological is
Yeah.
always by far because again, a magic zombie is just a tool. A biological
Mm-hmm.
zombie is its whole own thing.
That is
Mhm.
okay. Perfect. Well, congratulations, Resident Evil, Days Gone, Last. Well, no, not Last of Us.
I Am Legend,
I Am
Train to
Legend. Yeah.
Busan.
Well, yeah. Congratulations, biological zombies are the most dangerous threat. And it's funny to think of this because the beginning zombies weren't biological zombies; they were magical zombies. But that became the norm.
Well, I mean, the original zombies weren't even zombies, but
What was the original zombies?
well, I mean, if you follow like the core back, which kind of like goes over years of African kind of beliefs and like lore being brought over from places in Africa when with unsavory stuff like the slave trade, bringing them to places like the Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
for stuff like that. Um, a zombie was really just a person that was like hypnotized, basically. Like if you want to really boil it down, it was just someone that you took
Oh.
away their free will. It wasn't
Whoa.
a corpse. It wasn't a an undead dead thing. It was just someone that like you turned into a slave. Basically, you took away their mental faculties, and you could have them work however you'd like to or do whatever you wanted.
Whoa. Wow. That is actually interesting. Oh wow, that is really interesting. That the fact that it wasn't even how do we that's you know what?
Because people twist things over years and people
Yeah,
have
it's like
weird fears about things they don't understand like people always do.
it's
So
like, how do we get from, oh, a zombie is a person that's hypnotized, to it is the thing that raises from the grave through
yeah.
via infection or spell? And it's like, how did we get to this point? Oh gosh. All right. Oh, that's great. That's good, actually. I like that. The origins of zombies. Different discussion video. But that is all the topics that we wanted to cover. Congratulations, biological zombies. You are the more threat, the bigger threat. Hopefully, we never have to worry about you. But who knows? There's all those types of different people prepare preparing for the end of the world. But anyways, thank you everybody for joining us in this lovely discussion video. I think this has been a while since I've did one, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the chaotic conversation in my chaotic ramblings. But if you like what you saw, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all fellow zombie fans that just like to dip into the lore of both the magical and the biological. And thank you, Josh and Makayla, for joining me tonight in this discussion. It's very, very fun, very enlightening. Zombies got me into the horror video game scene all the way back in Call of Duty Black Ops, the zombies mode. That's the first real scary game that I started playing. So zombies hold a really near and dear place in my heart as the blue collar of monsters. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. And thank everybody for watching. As always, I'm rikquasar, and make sure you guys come back to my archives to see everything else that I have planned. But until then, all of you have a good night and say goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.